Okay, let's talk about the, quite frankly, disastrous performance that happened with Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns here. We saw Shedeur Sanders play 5 drives. They only got 1 first down in that stretch, and that was when they ran the ball twice and picked up a total of 11 yards on those first 2 plays. Shedeur Sanders' numbers are definitely not what you would like to see. 3 for 6 for 14 yards on 5 possessions. He also took 5 sacks and lost 44 yards on those. So well more lost yardage due to sacks than passing yards. We'll get into it. It wasn't all as bad as the numbers will say. There was some good stuff, but this was definitely a learning experience from Shedeur Sanders. So yeah, let's talk about it all. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's just get into it. Let's start off with this play. What's going to happen here is it's going to be a 3rd down and 5 situation, man coverage across the board for the defense. So okay, find a matchup you like and look in that direction. Well, honestly, no matter what matchup he likes, you see that, he looks towards the offense's left. He could throw there's a deep shot on the other side of the field. Maybe he could look towards, on this side of the field, the receiver that looks like he's running a deep shot is actually going to be cutting. So really nothing is open here at all. You're not getting a first down if you throw it. So Sanders is going to say, well, you know what? Hey, everyone keeps saying I'm not a great athlete, but I'm still a pretty good athlete. It's man coverage, so everyone has to cover their assigned man, obviously. So why not just step up and run? Well, there is a Rams player right over there who is, just reading the play on this one. He's supposed to cover the middle of the field. That's his job on this play. But one of the things you have to do is you have to kind of know you're the last line of defense if the quarterback can get around the defensive lineman and try and make, try and move up with his legs. As you see, it's Chris Paul Jr. is the guy who's going to run down Sanders. He doesn't make the tackle, but he forces Sanders outside to where Sanders, again, did what he could there, right? Good play by Chris Paul Jr. to, make the awareness and be aware enough to make that play. You got to give him credit. But honestly, there's nothing wrong with that play by Sanders, right? It doesn't look good, and people, I just go on Reddit to try and see what the general public is thinking when this stuff happens. People are kind of getting on him for holding on to the ball for too long, but what are you supposed to do? Nothing's open. So, and he did the right thing. He used himself as an option, kind of the last check down. It just didn't work out. Not his fault. Speaking of not his fault, this next play, you're going to see it's a zone coverage concept right here on a 1st down and 10, but it's a zone coverage blitz. Sanders takes a snap. It's going to go through his progressions, run a play action that doesn't really work, looks down the field. You see that he does have a check down, but he's also about to get clobbered. Now, one of the things we saw a lot in college was he was really good at throwing while getting hit. He did a great job at, even if he's about to get clobbered, be able to make an accurate throw. And in an NFL game where guys are bigger and faster and stronger, will he still be able to do that? Well, let's see this play. You're going to see that he does get hit. It's just kind of folded over, but honestly, made a perfect throw on that one. Halfback dropped it. What are you going to do? But, at least on this play, he's still showing what he was able to show in college. So, it's a good play, even if the results are not good. Heading over to this next play, this is a 3rd down and 8 situation. And again, we're going to talk about what happens when you don't love what you see. Shedeur Sanders takes a snap, looks down the field, doesn't love what he sees. What do you do now? Has a clean pocket. Well, again, he's going to try and add some extra time, which is smart. Watch him get outside the pocket. Does a good job at when the edge rusher makes an inside move, goes outside. Can't quite connect on that throw. But again, maybe I'm just making too much excuses for Shedeur Sanders. But it's a depth running back who's just trying to make the team. I'm not going to crush you if you can't, fully get that connection perfectly down. It's mostly a good play to get the extra time. I will still say, though, you would have loved to see him be able to connect on that throw. You would have. Both things can be true. Although heading over to this play, there's no getting around it. This is not a play that you love. You don't like to see, fumbles in any capacity. This is kind of, it's interesting. Where on one hand, for Shedeur Sanders, you could say, well, this is a benefit for him that he gets to be the 3rd quarterback playing because, well, if you're the 3rd quarterback playing, you're going up against guys further and further down on the depth chart against the Rams. The issue is you're also playing with guys further and further down on the depth chart. You see when this play begins, there is going to be pressure off the edge. So, okay, that's not his fault, right? I can't blame him for the pressure off the edge. Couldn't quite make the block on that one. I will say, and this is just the NFL internal clock has to be quicker. This is the 2.5 second mark. You have to know pressure is going to come around here. That's just kind of when it happens. And he's drifting away. Maybe he's just kind of used to in college when you drift away, you can kind of outrun these guys a little bit, but got to be a little more aware of this. And one other thing is, this is a little thing, but actually a lot of NFL quarterbacks do this. You'll hear a different noise in the crowd in these moments. I do wonder a little bit if, like, did that happen in this game because it's a preseason game? Maybe not. Maybe that was a little factor, something to note as well. But anyway, didn't realize the pressure was coming through, throws, honestly, he kind of threw as he was getting hit. Like, he's starts throwing as he's getting hit. Like, watch the replay. It's just like a weirdly timed thing. It seems like right when he starts the throwing motion is right when the contact came. And like, could you have maybe realized at the last moment and tried to pull back? Probably not. Probably going too quickly. But yeah, again, never good to fumble. As far as fumbles go, the getting kind of blindsided by the left tackle giving up a pressure, not one I'll crush you on, but ultimately, just gotta know. This is why you take reps in the preseason, right? Gotta know how quickly you have to get the ball out of your hands. It's just a lot faster at this level. But now we have to go over here. I mean, listen, there were, underwhelming things early on in this performance and, like, even some somewhat nice things. Again, I like to not go crazy over just showing the good or the bad, but, like, things got pretty bad. There was a stretch where he would just, it wasn't good. It's really starting off with this. It's a 2nd and 12. You're going to see that he takes the snap. And, again, things aren't getting open. Pressure's coming. Like, this is not a great situation. And what you want to see sometimes with quarterbacks is, what do they do when things aren't going great? I will say, like, I think Dylan Gabriel, we didn't have to see him do this. Nonetheless, even if it's a tougher test, you still have to make sure that you can at least do okay on it. You see pressure coming off of the edge. First, it's going to start off actually with him showing the positives he can show. Watch him be able to get around this pressure. That's really good. Again, like, he's really good at some of this stuff, and you can see why he holds on to the ball for so long, because he was able to get away with it so well in college and can get away with some of it at the NFL level. He's just going to have to figure out what he can and can't get away with. But you see how when this play develops, again, he goes closer towards the middle of the field. That's just not the right move there. If you go more towards the bottom of the screen, you're outside the pocket. You can just throw it out of bounds and take an incomplete pass. The best quarterbacks in this league aren't necessarily ones who make every play good. It's they can minimize damage. Patrick Mahomes is probably the best quarterback in this league at minimizing a bad play. When something goes wrong, being able to just not allow it to be worse. Turn a sack into an incomplete completion, right? Here, this is what could have been an incompletion. Instead, he's drugged down and doesn't protect the football, only has one hand on the ball. You got to get two hands on the ball. You should never be getting tackled with only one hand on the football unless you got completely blindsided. Like, that's the only excuse, which wasn't what happened here. So this is a bad play. It just is, and it's one that can't happen. Completely killed the drive. You had a 3rd and 35 after this. You could have had a 3rd and 12, which at least gives you a chance. This next one, another one, which, again, it's not going to be an ideal situation, although this one a little bit better. Shedeur Sanders takes the snap. It's a blitz, and I promise you, if he plays some NFL tape, he's going to get blitzed. Teams are going to pressure him a lot. That's what I would do if I was a defensive coordinator and I saw him come in. So there's going to be a little bit of pressure. It's picked up okay, though. His read on this play is open, by the way. Like, where he should be, it's not his first read, but the way that this play should be progressing appears to be open. Like, make this throw, you can probably get a first down. Instead, he's going to try and navigate the pocket, do a move that worked in college, does not work here at the NFL level. Again, doesn't protect the football either. He was down before the ball popped out, but, like, I don't want to see you getting tackled with one hand on the ball, and it happened twice after he already fumbled in this game. It's not good. Heading over to this one, it kind of happened again here. I'm a little bit going to be more forgiving on this one. It's a 3rd and 10, so you want to see if you can make something happen. As long as you don't have a disastrous play, I'm more okay with you holding on to the ball for a while. This is actually a really weird play, where watch how when this begins, you see him run into pressure and then kind of run out of it and even breaks another tackle. All of a sudden, he looks up and sees that he has a receiver who's, like, open. So this kind of worked out. And again, this is why he does this, right? Because you're hoping you can get some positives out of it. And I don't want, like, if Shedeur Sanders is taking the creativity completely out of his game, like, he's not a good prospect, right? You need some of this stuff because that's what he did well in college. But here, I mean, listen, it's a little bit behind, bit of a tough catch. Also, you would have loved to see him make it. Again, it's a depth running back. That's a good finish to that play. But you want that, right? You want the positives. You just got to figure out a way to rein it in. Get the positives without the negatives. And can you get the positives without the negatives? I don't know. So yeah, I mean, listen, this is what it is, and this is the kind of performance that makes you say, maybe it's just time to let this guy sit for a year, let him learn, let him figure this stuff out a little bit more. Again, it's tough, right? This is something that, I was a little bit lower on him than some other people were coming out of college. I wasn't fifth round pick low on him, right? But I was lower than a lot of other people were because I did not see his playmaking and his creativity as a positive. I felt like it was going to get him into more trouble than good. And in this game, that's what happened. The offensive line blocked not what you would want, but not as bad as the numbers would suggest. A lot of these, there's the whole thing that people say in the analytics community, which is sacks are a quarterback stat, and I kind of feel like in this game that was the case. So yeah, just not what you want to see out of Shedeur Sanders. That doesn't mean that he's going to be a bust. They're going to stink. Players have had bad preseason games and come back and played well. Of course, it can happen, right? But it, probably is not going to be climbing up the quarterback depth chart unless, there's a lot of injuries. That's probably what's going to happen, at least for this year, right? Book is still being read. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.